Hey everybody, this is Joric. Thank you again for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Please click the subscribe button if you haven't already. As you can tell from the thumbnail before you clicked, this is a conversation about your SEF appointment, SEF, when you're here in Portugal, which any of you that are going to be here for any length of time beyond a vacation, so if you're looking to live here on a permanent basis, or you're looking to retire here, you will eventually have a SEF appointment. I'm going to give some information in the description of what to do, what to look for, the website. It can be unnerving because it's going to an immigration office to give them all of the documentation. You're crossing your T's and dotting your I's and triple checking your forms to make sure, depending on what visa you're looking for, you have all the right information. There are numerous websites and videos that tackle the topic of what do you need to make sure you can secure your resident card for the different types of visas. So I won't go there. I just wanted to talk about the experience at SEF because my wife and I had two different appointments, two different experiences. So first things first, I want to let all of you know, you get to take your phone with you, and that's crucial because if you don't speak Portuguese, we found in the Lisbon office, so the main immigration office and probably the biggest one that services the most amount of people in the country, is where my wife had her appointment. The representative did not speak English, so it was difficult to translate, but she was able to take her phone through Google's Translate and ask questions and get answers, and then the representative would ask questions, and so it worked that way. But she also had our attorney with us, who was a local in Lisbon, so a Portuguese attorney. We hired one because we had heard that the process could be magical and also a nightmare, depending on what day of the week and what representative and how easy or hard someone wanted to make your life, and what types of forms were needed that might have changed overnight. So because of that, the attorney got us squared away before we came over and got us ready for our appointment. So my wife's appointment here in Lisbon, difficulty with the language barrier, but we had all the forms. So it was really just making sure that everything that matched the visa was in place. It was photo taken, fingerprint taken, and about 3 weeks later she received her card. My appointment was about a month later, and it was in the Azores, or the Azores Islands, and it was on Terceira. Angra do Heroísmo was the name of the place. And it's good because as an American, there's still a small presence, US Air Base in Lagos, I believe it is, that there's still some US military presence there. So that island and that immigration office is used to dealing with a lot of Americans. So we chose to not have our attorney fly and stay with us, and we didn't want to pay for that expense. But she was available by phone, and of course I was able to take my phone in for my appointment. So the positive in that case, the representative spoke English. Fantastic. That was easy. So we could have a good discussion and I could answer her questions, and I didn't have any doubts as to what she was asking for. Had all the documentation, had everything. But the conversation went very differently, and it was more confrontational than I think it needed to be. She asked questions about my passport stamps from 6 years ago. That was long before we were ever considering a move anywhere, let alone coming to Portugal, which had no bearing on anything. And I was pretty perturbed. So I said, that's got nothing to do with this application, so there's no reason. And she said, well, I can ask whatever I want. And I'm going, well, I don't think so. But I also, was biting my tongue because I wanted to get the process done. And of course, this happened in February of 2020. So this is kind of pre-pandemic, if you will. Got through the process. It took about an hour and a half to go through it, where it only took my wife about a half hour to go through the same process, same forms, same questions, but just it kind of went off the rails in a weird way, just more questions and more questioning of every document in a way that kind of wasn't used to. It felt like more of an interrogation, but it was done. And due to the pandemic, I should have received my card sometime mid-March of 2020. I didn't receive my card until late June, so almost a year ago, because of the world that we had lived in last year. So that was of no fault to the Portuguese, or you can't fault anyone for that. That's just government shutdown or things were curbed. But I wanted to give you two examples of my wife's experience and my experience, just so that you're ready. I will do a video at some point about what I feel is the importance of having an attorney. You don't need one. You don't need to have one present. But I got to tell you, it helps you sleep better at night, especially when you're dealing with a foreign government with rules that sometimes aren't as clear as you want them to be. So for us, it made sense and it was worth it. And honestly, it was far cheaper to have an attorney, I'll say a Portuguese-based attorney. If we were paying the same fees in the US, it would have been thousands of dollars. Here in Portugal, it was hundreds of dollars. So we decided that was the way to go. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm sorry that one it runs a little long, but if you're going to be here for any length of time past just your 90 days as a tourist and you're looking to stay here, SEF is going to be a part of your life. At some point, you're going to have at least a conversation, if not more, when you do renewals. We also went through our renewal process of our visa. So although we got our temporary residence visa in February and March, we had our appointments in February and March of last year. We had to renew at the end of the year because they were only good through the end of last year. So then we renewed, set an appointment with SEF, which took place about 2 months ago. And that renewal appointment, again, we both had them in the Lisbon office, about a half hour apart. Neither representative spoke English, but there was really no issues, if you will. It was a pretty simple process. It was just a renewal, so it was painless. There was no issues whatsoever, which was a good thing. I would say the biggest thing is that at some point they're going to give you documentation that shows here's kind of what your residence card is going to look like. Quadruple check your name, your full name, because they will put your full name on there, any information about you, and also on the back of the card it will give you some demographic information about where you're from, and just please make sure that matches your passport. You don't want to be in a situation where you're in another country or you're trying to get back into Portugal and you're at customs and they're looking at the card and making sure that all the holograms are there. It's a legitimate card, and then they flip it over and they see, this one says Massachusetts as place of birth, but your passport says Missouri. Okay, something's not right here. Quadruple check all that information. You'll be asked to sign off on it when you have your appointment. That's what's going to basically go through and validate what's on your eventual residence card. That is uber super important. So we looked at it. I even called the attorney when I was in Tresira because she wasn't with us, just to make sure, okay, is there anything here that I'm missing, so that there's no issues when I get the card and have to get it reissued or have any mistakes fixed. So that is SEF in a nutshell. I would say that it's a pretty streamlined process. You make your appointment online, which I failed to say at the beginning of this video. I should have. I'll put that in the description. You can do that online. That wasn't always the case, but due to pandemic, it's a process that actually, silver lining of it, has made some of this stuff easier as an expat trying to live in another country. So I hope this information is useful to you. You're going to deal with SEF. If you have any questions, please let me know. If you have any comments of your experience, please let me know. The reason I chose to do this video today is I I received from a friend of mine here that is also from the US. He happened to mention he had to make trips to 2 different SEF offices. He had an appointment in one. He tried to do it himself. The documentation wasn't what was needed for the particular visa, so then he had to set a second appointment 2 months later at another location, which was in Porto. So going from Lisbon to Porto, going there, getting the documentation, then finally being in the process to get the card. So there's a lot of hoops, there's a lot of bureaucracy. Every country has that. You just need to kind of figure out what to do. An attorney helps with that, and we'll talk about that at a later date. So hope you enjoyed this. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care.